Ram and Leela's clan members have hated each other for centuries. When they dare to fall for each other, it leads to a lot of bloodshed. The two families do everything they can to keep them apart. A tourist is in awe of Ranjar in India, which openly sells weapons at every shop. He has even spotted women and children carrying guns. A shopkeeper promises the best quality guns to him. He thinks only the Rajati, or people of his community, know how to make proper guns. He's not worried about the cops, because they have enemies everywhere. In that market itself, their rivals, or members of the Sanra community, are roaming around. When he randomly fires a shot, a Sanra called Bhavani fires back. People of both the communities hate each other, and they keep firing random shots. Bhavani gets irritated with a little Rajati boy, Goli, who is peeing on the terrace. Goli wants to do anything on his property. Bhavani gets angry and starts firing at Goli. He chases him and threatens to wipe out the entire Rajati clan. But Goli is fast and manages to escape. The shopkeeper asks the tourist to not worry, because this kind of a fight is normal in their locality. Goli is the grandson of the Rajati clan leader, Radhu. So he knows this incident will lead to a huge brawl between the Rajatis and Sanaras. Shots and glass bottles get fired from all directions, and people dive for cover. Goli informs his father, Megji, about Bhavani firing at him. Megji gets angry and steps out with his gun to find Bhavani. Goli tries to find his uncle, Ram, for help. Megji's wife, Kesar, feels bad they're trying to corrupt the only man who doesn't like violence. But she informs Goli about Ram being at his usual spot in Hanuman Lane. As Ram dances and sings with his friends, Megji finds Bhavani and is about to beat him up. But Ram stops his gun and lets Bhavani escape. Megji complains to Radhu about Ram, who thinks he saved Megji from committing a murder. Ram, too, slayed some men when he was Goli's age. He claims it was an accident, and he got punished for 12 years. When Ram gets a call from a flame, Megji seems disappointed with his brother. Ram sells porn, deals in stolen cars, and flirts around with different women all day. Megji thinks Ram is worse than an enemy, since he carries an empty gun. Ram suggests calling a truce with the Sanaras. Everyone points their guns at him, and Radhu warns him against having stupid ideas like this again. The Sanara clan leader, Dankarba, is informed about the differences Ram is having with his family. She jokes about being glad he was around, because he saved Bhavani's life. Bhavani is always angry, so Dankar asks him to use his brain and bullets wisely. The police officer, Vanka, informs Dankar about a court notice in her name related to 4 murders. She asks him to forget about the past, because many more murders have happened after that. Everyone is scared of her, including Vanka, who knows how powerful she is. She asks Ujjwal to call her son, Kanji, who is flirting with his wife, Rasila. He has come home after 10 days, and she wants to spend time with him. Kanji wants to rush to see Dankar. A marriage proposal has come for Kanji's sister, Leela, and he needs to show the guy's photo to Dankar. He's possessive about his sister, so he is planning to make the guy move in with them after the wedding. When Kanji turns up to inform Dankar about the man, she asks Kanji to invite him for the festival of Holi. A Rajati, Keshav, is getting married soon, so Ram wants to celebrate his bachelors at the Sanara mansion. They know it's very risky, but Ram doesn't think anyone will recognize them. Leela is playing Holi with the girls when she bumps into Ram. He points a water gun at her, but she shows him that her gun is real. Kanji brings Carson, the man they have chosen to marry Leela, to meet Dankar. He is an archaeologist and seems scared of her, so Dankar thinks he's ideal for Leela. Dankar informs him about their family business of smuggling and slaying. She asks Kanji to fix the wedding for the day Carson's hands stop shaking while holding the gun. Ram spots Leela again before Rasila drags her to meet Carson. Ram realizes she is the enemy's daughter and gets more excited. Dankar introduces Leela to Carson, but she's not interested. She gets away to play Holi and keeps flirting with Ram. When he asks her to color her lips, she kisses him and runs away. They have great chemistry, but Kanji gets suspicious about them dancing together. He asks around and realizes who Ram is. Ram's friends drag him away before it's too late. Kanji is offended that the Rajati men dared to enter the Sanara festivities. He bribes Vanka and asks him to raid the huge stock of bullets the Rajatis store at home. Ram is waiting outside the Sanara mansion to get one glimpse of Leela. He can't get her out of his head. His friends are afraid of the consequences of his actions. But Ram sneaks in and hopes he gets Leela's room. Leela thinks Ram is crazy for sneaking in again. He claims he can't function without her and needed to see her. She asks him to join her upstairs when he gets too loud. He asks her to not fall in love with him because he's a Rajati and her enemy. She realizes she was probably attracted to him because of this reason. He loves how daring she is, but Rusilla calls out to her when he's trying to flirt. Leela informs Rusilla there's a peacock in her room she's trying to get rid of. Rusilla asks her to hurry because Danker is calling her downstairs. Ram has reached her bed, and she loves how daring he is. He claims he's willing to take bullets for her. He asks her to marry him, and she plays along as a joke. He gives her his number and wants to get intimate with her. Rusilla calls her again, so Leela kisses Ram and drops him in the pond. She calls him to make him stop sending her cheesy messages. She wants to see him, but Ram needs to manage his shop. She offers to come over, but Ram doesn't think a Sanara like her will have the guts to step into his territory. Leela travels to the market and turns up at Ram's store. Since she proves her point, he shuts his shop on a business day and takes her inside. He is manning Megji's shop, but he himself doesn't have any interest in guns or fights. She has fallen for him, but he plays hard to get. She takes out her gun to scare him, but that makes them feel more passionate about each other. After dancing around inside the store, Leela bumps into Carson on her way out. He takes her picture, but she wonders why he's there when she left him at the temple. The cops conduct raids in the homes of Rojatis and find bullets hidden in all their food items. Megji thinks there's nothing wrong in having bullets when they deal in them. Vanka reminds them that the license is only for their shop, and it's illegal to store them in the house. Megji tries to bribe him, but that doesn't work. Before he can take Megji to the police station, Ram asks him to raid his room upstairs. Vanka knows Ram doesn't like violence, and is glad he's showing them where more stuff is kept. When his men are checking the house, Ram switches on the TV to make him watch porn. Vanka easily gets distracted, and Ram shows him the rest of his collection. He claims every movie is better than the other, and lets Vanka keep the DVDs if they get to keep their bullets. Vanka asks his men to clear the place so they can enjoy the DVDs. Kanji is informed about how Ram ruined the raid and saved all the bullets. Megji celebrates with his clan, and they fire more bullets. Danker seems impressed with Carson's pictures of the villagers. When she finds a photo of Leela, she shows it to Kanji. He scolds Leela for being in the Rojati area. She claims she only went there to show Carson the entire village. Danker doesn't want to delay their wedding and asks everyone to begin the preparations. She even asks Rusilla to take Leela's measurements for her wedding dress. Rusilla already knows about her affair with Ram, but Danker is determined to get Leela married to Carson, and Rusilla asks her to cooperate. Leela refuses to give her measurements when she doesn't intend to get married. When Ram calls her, Rusilla walks away. He has overheard the conversation and tries to flirt with her. But Leela is worried that Danker will make sure she gets married. She wants to do something to stop it, but Ram only wants to touch her and flirt with her. She doesn't think he understands her situation. He knows their families hate each other, so their only option is to elope. He promises to pick her up at 8 the next day. Ram is in a great mood when he joins his brother and friends for a drink. Megji gets irritated when Kanji turns up at Janta Market with the Sanaras. They both are about to attack to act superior, but Ram stops them and asks Kanji to enjoy with his friends. Megji still shoots one of their glasses when they're about to sit. Kanji feels he should have enough guts to shoot from the front. Megji taunts him about backstabbing them with a raid. Soon enough, both the gangs start aiming and shooting at each other's bottles. Megji challenges Kanji to hit a beer mug near his chest. He misses, and Megji dramatically pretends to be deceased, making everyone laugh. The next shot eliminates Megji, but Ram keeps laughing since he thinks he's pretending. When Ram realizes it really ended Megji, he gets shocked and picks Megji's gun to slay Kanji. As Ram grieves Megji's passing, Danker asks Rusilla to remove all Rojati bullets from Kanji's body before they bury him. Leela gets angry at Ram for murdering her brother, but he claims she would have done the same thing to avenge his own brother. When she threatens to shoot him, he asks her to either slay him or take his hand. She refuses to be with him after what he did to her brother, but Ram convinces her to set aside the enmity between them. He knows everyone wants to end him, and she is his only reason to live. Rusilla is intrigued that Leela is hugging her brother's murderer, but she understands that's how shameless and selfish true love is. She has lost her husband, but she doesn't want Leela to lose her love. She asks Leela to run away with Ram before she changes her mind. Danker keeps calling Leela while she's out with Ram. He brings her to a new home to start their lives afresh. She asks him to promise that they'll never go back to their old lives of violence. Ram gets paranoid when housekeeping knocks at their door. He refuses to get anything, and Leela feels like he's still stuck in the past. But he jokes about wondering if the bed is comfortable enough for her. She has decided to spend her life with him and is willing to do whatever it takes. Ram wants to head out to get something to eat and asks Leela to stay in the room. He reminds her that the cops and Danker's men are all looking for them and asks her to be safe. Ram turns around when he spots some cops at the same shop as him. He finds Leela shopping and scolds her about coming out alone. She is buying rings for their wedding because she doesn't want to stay in the same room with him without getting married. He shows her the headlines about riots in Ranjar between Sanaras and Rojatis. The Rojatis seem to be suffering more because their shops are getting burnt. He wonders how she can worry about a wedding when all this is happening. Leela doesn't care about all that anymore because she chose to run away with him. They rant about each other's clans and who started the war. When they calm down, Leela suggests they should get married that night. Vanka gets their location from a rickshaw driver and assures Bhavani that he will end Ram and Leela's love story soon. Leela seduces Ram and they get married in the room. As they kiss passionately, someone hits their window with a stone and Ram's phone rings. His friends have found his location and are waiting downstairs for him. They have apparently spoken to the police, who have promised to leave Ram alone if he comes back to Ranjar. Ram doesn't want to return to a place with so much bloodshed. He wants to be with Leela, but one of his friends taunt him about sleeping with the enemy. Ram threatens to end him for disrespecting her. His other friends calm them down and agree to accept Leela as a Rojati. They want to take Ram out for a drink because they have traveled so far. Ram wants to go back to Leela, but they drag him along. Ram gets drunk and starts praising Leela. He thinks Leela is one of a kind, and she stole his heart from the day they met. He gets a call from her and promises to be back home soon. His friends take away his phone and ask him to continue talking about Leela. Leela wakes up the next morning to find Bhavani sitting on her bed. He drags her along and scares people on the way so he can take her home. Leela keeps shouting for Ram, but he's nowhere around. He finally wakes up when he hears her shouting and finds her getting dragged away. He wants to get to her, but his friends stop him. They sent his location to Vanka from his phone, so it looks like Ram betrayed Leela. But Ram tries to swim to her, and she can see he's making an effort to reach her. His friends are proud of humiliating Leela so much that all Sanaras will be ashamed. Ram is drunk and can't stop laughing at how crazy his life is. Everything has changed for him overnight, and he now feels hatred. His love has been taken away from him, and he cuts to check if his blood is of the same color. Leela is acting like a newlywed bride in her home, with Ram's name all over her mirrors. She hasn't eaten in 3 days and keeps calling and messaging Ram. Rusilla asks her to forget the past and get married to Carson. Leela still believes in her love for Ram and knows he will come for her. Rusilla is sure he betrayed her because it seems like he tipped off their location to Vanka. She feels bad for giving them permission to run, but Leela feels incomplete without him. Danker has taken out some jewelry for Leela's upcoming wedding with Carson. Rusilla knows Leela has now turned her back on the world and doesn't think Danker will understand. Danker claims she understands their love, which is why Ram is still alive. The Rojatis celebrate Ram and put him on the pedestal for taking revenge for his brother. Radhu is proud of him for humiliating Danker. He gives him the crown so he can take over as the Don of the Rojatis. Ram has now changed and is determined to rule. He wants to ensure there's only bloodshed, and they destroy the Sanaras. When Kesser comes to see him, he claims he can't touch her feet and respect her because he's a Don now. She asks him to not give up on his love so easily. Ram is tired of fighting his own family, but promises to keep her son, Goli, away from all this violence. To celebrate the new Rojati Don, an entertainer sings and dances for Ram about his love story with Leela. Danker makes Leela meet Carson's parents, Natu and Gamabin. Natu is an astrologer, so Leela asks him to read her hand and predict how many times she marries. Danker tries to pass that off as a joke. She claims she taught Carson how to hold a gun so he can control his wife. She wants them to get engaged right there and asks Bhavani for the rings. Leela tries to scare Carson and his family by claiming she spent the night at a cheap lodge. His parents get offended, and Gamabin asks Danker to delay the wedding for a bit. But Ba is determined and asks them to exchange rings. Leela refuses to take off the ring Ram gave her, so Danker cuts her finger. Ram hears his men gossiping about how Danker cut Leela's finger, and she lived through the pain. He watches Leela sleeping and puts the blood from the finger he cut on her door. Leela wakes up and notices the blood, but Ram is long gone. The Sanaras have started Carson's wedding functions without his consent. His parents beg Danker to let him go and return his passport, but Danker plans to make him stay at their place after the wedding. Carson has had enough humiliation and points his gun at Danker. She takes it as a positive sign and is proud Carson eventually picked up a gun. Rusilla proudly shows the jewelry Danker has made for Leela's wedding that Thursday. Leela refuses to wear it because she's married and her husband is still alive. Leela claims Danker can force her all she wants, but she'll only consummate the marriage with Ram. She asks Rusilla to deliver a message to Ram to meet her. She threatens to if Rusilla doesn't do this. Rusilla sneaks into the Rojati area at night and asks around for Ram. She finds his friends watching porn and asks to see Ram urgently. They ask her to talk about Ram with respect and don't let her leave when she realizes he is not at the office. They try to escort her, but a man stops them because he knows Ram will be angry when he learns of this disrespect. Rusilla threatens to rip them apart if anyone touches her again. When Rusilla gets back him, she shows the marks on her body that the Rojati men gave her. Danker gets angry and asks her men to chase and do the unthinkable to Kesar. All the women, include Kesar, run away from the Sanara men chasing them. Bhavani finds Kesar's shawl near the river and shoots at the water in the hopes of murdering her, but Kesar manages to swim to the other side. Ram is very angry and wants to punish everyone who disrespects women. He asks his friends, Veer, Mandar, Velji, and Pranjivan to come forward. He asks the clan to shoot these first or throw away their guns. The Rajatis don't think he's fit for ruling them because he's turning against his own men. Ram gives up his crown instantly and heads to Sanara Mansion. He manages to beat all the men alone and finally comes face to face with Danker. He asks her to end this madness because he doesn't want any more violence. She claims this conversation could happen on the phone and gives him her number. He is done playing her games and asks her to end him since he's standing unarmed in front of her. He refuses to let any woman get disrespected and asks her to try and build a relationship with the Rojatis. Danker calls him later and claims it was refreshing to hear a real man's voice in her mansion. She claims Leela is waiting for him and invites him over for Navratri celebrations. She has sent him an official invite in the form of a peacock. Ram promises to be there to experience her hospitality. Danker knows he will turn up and is excited about getting him slayed. Ram is the first man in Ranjar who has fought for women's honor, irrespective of whether they're Rajati or Sanara. Kesar crowns him with a new turban to make him their Dawn, who fights for women's pride. Leela starts dancing at the Sanara mansion. Ram arrives a little while later, and they exchange a look. He directly goes towards Danker, who pretends to bless him. When Danker is sure the sniper is pointed at Ram, she starts dancing for the festivities. Bhavani asks the sniper to point his gun at Danker instead, and shoots her. Rusilla finds it hard to trust anyone, and Bhavani pretends he's glad Danker survived. She is critical, so Bhavani blames Ram and the Rojatis for plotting to murder her. He wants to take over the rule of Sanaras, but Rasail feels Danker's daughter, Leela, has the first right over the throne. He thinks Leela doesn't know anything about the business, but Rusilla instructs him to leave. Leela is fed up of the bloodshed and doesn't want to take over Danker's legacy. But Rusilla knows Bhavani will create chaos if he rules Ranjar and asks Leela to cooperate. Pujalal knows everyone will blame Radhu and Rojatis for orchestrating this attack on Danker, even if they are clueless about who did it. The village head has fixed a meeting to discuss a compromise between their two clans in Danker's house. Ram offers to go to the meeting as the new Dawn. Leela has taken over from Ba and is handling things in her absence. The village head wants a truce between the two clans. Their fights are resulting in a loss of lives and resources for years. Leela refuses to cooperate with Ram because she holds the Rojatis responsible for shooting at her mother. Ram reminds her that the Sanaras took his wife away, but she asks why he didn't fight harder for his marriage. Leela doesn't want any relationship between the Sanaras and Rojatis anymore. She offers to let them do separate businesses and assigns the routes so they can handle their respective businesses. Ram agrees with everything and asks to hug her in peace. Bhavani doesn't want to let Rojatis go so easily and thinks Leela is scared of vengeance. Leela asks him to remember his place. Ram also claims Leela wouldn't have dared to love an enemy if she was a coward. Ram agrees to be enemies in love with her and clicks a photo for the papers. When Leela is tending to Danker, Bhavani asks her to sign some papers. He claims it's the contract she made with Ram, and she asks if he has read it. Danker tries to stop her from signing it, but Leela thinks everything is going well for business. She hands over the papers to Bhavani and wonders how Ba has done all of this alone for years. Radhu feels Leela is thinking of taking revenge on them for supposedly attacking Danker. Ram feels like she has already hurt him enough and jokes about getting the photo in the paper with her framed. Bhavani discusses with Ujjwal how Leela made a huge mistake by signing the orders without reading them. He admits he tried to end Dankar to get the seat of the Sanaradon. With the orders from Leela, he plans to eliminate all the Rojatis. Ram is celebrating Dussehra by heading to the grounds to burn the Ravana effigy. As he's occupied, his Rojati mates start dying one by one. Radhu hears about Leela's orders to slay all the Rojatis and wants to take revenge. But the Sanaras shoot at their hideout and murder Vanka. Someone takes Ram away, and the Sanars slay the man playing Lord Ram during the celebrations. Carson thanks Leela for returning his passport, so he can finally leave the country. Ujjwal claims Bhavani is out to fulfill her orders, which she seems confused about. All the Sanaras come to congratulate Leela for passing orders like no Dawn has ever done. They claim she eliminated Ram while Rojatis were trying to burn Ravana. Dankar is on her feet again, and the village chief informs her about Rojatis being murdered everywhere. He thinks Dankar is dishonoring the agreement Ram and Leela made in front of him. Kesar brings Goli to Dankar and asks her to end him too. She thinks if all the men from her clan are no longer living, at least there will be no more violence. Rusilla also feels Kesar is right about how women continue to suffer in all this. Leela is relieved to see Ram alive and tries to hug him, but Ram has come to eliminate her, even if he knows she didn't pass those orders. He doesn't want innocent people to keep dying because they love each other. Ram's gun is loaded for the first time, but he's disappointed they never got to live like a married couple. Leela had planned to have many kids with him too. As the Rojatis march towards them in anger, Ram suggests ending it instead of getting murdered by the enemy. Dankar asks Goli to take her gun if he wants revenge, but Ram has taught him revenge is bad, so Dankar warms up to him. Bhavani points his gun at Dankar and claims he won't miss this time. Ram and Leela try to flirt with each other in their last moments. They point their guns at each other and wait for the right moment. Dinakar kills Bhavani and asks the village head to send a message of peace to the Rojatis. She wants to celebrate Dussehra with the Sanaras this time. She also asks Rusilla to start preparing for Ram and Leela's union. As they all fire celebratory shots, Ram and Leela think a war must be happening. They decide to do a countdown, but Rusilla calls out to Leela. She claims Dankar is calling her downstairs, but Leela ignores her. Leela kisses Ram, and they stay like that till they shoot each other at the same time. After that, Rojatis and Sanaras celebrate Dussehra for the first time together. Ram and Leela's sacrifice has an impact, because guns don't get fired in Ranjar anymore. There's only peace between the two clans,